You notice it the moment it happens. People start responding differently to you. They listen, they laugh, they want you around. And instead of relief, your body tightens. A quiet thought forms before you can stop it. If they really knew me, this wouldn't last. You don't feel proud, you feel exposed. And the more accepted you feel, the more unreal you become. Why does being liked feel like standing on unstable ground? 2. The lived experience. Problem deep dive. At first, it's subtle. You double-check your messages, you replay conversations afterward, you wonder if you talk too much or not enough. You start filtering yourself. You soften opinions that once felt natural. You avoid topics that feel too revealing. You present a version of yourself that feels safer. Not fake, exactly, just edited. And people keep liking you, which somehow makes it worse. Because now there's pressure. Pressure to stay consistent, pressure to not ruin it, pressure to keep being whoever they think you are. Inside, a quiet distance forms. You're present in the interaction, but absent from yourself. You begin to feel like you're maintaining something instead of living it. And the thought creeps in, if I stop trying, they'll see the truth. This doesn't just affect relationships. It affects decisions. You hesitate to speak up. You avoid taking space. You downplay your needs so the version of you they like stays intact. Psychologically, this isn't insecurity in the usual sense. It's an identity mismatch, a conflict between who you learned you had to be and who people are responding to now. And until that conflict is resolved, connection feels fragile. But why does the brain react like this after acceptance? 3. You're not broken. Reframe. Here's the first truth that matters. This reaction is not a flaw. It's an adaptation. At some point in your life, being fully seen carried a cost. Maybe attention came with criticism. Maybe closeness led to disappointment. Maybe love was conditional on performance, mood, or usefulness. So your brain learned a rule. Connection is something to manage, not something to rest inside. That rule kept you safe. It taught you how to read rooms, how to adjust, how to belong without risking rejection. And it worked. The problem is that your nervous system still operates on that rule, even when the environment has changed. So when people like you now, your brain doesn't feel relief. It feels responsibility. And responsibility feels like danger. 4. The psychological mechanism. Why this happens. Let's slow this down and explain what's actually happening inside your brain. Your sense of self is maintained by a network called the default mode network. This system stores your identity story, who you think you are, how you expect others to see you, what outcomes feel predictable. When people begin responding positively to you, your brain runs a comparison. It compares internal identity model versus external feedback. If those don't align, the brain registers a prediction error. And prediction errors trigger stress, not because something is wrong, but because uncertainty threatens safety. Here's the key part. Your brain would rather feel familiar pain than unfamiliar safety. So instead of relaxing into acceptance, it activates monitoring systems. You become hyper-aware of tone. You scan for mistakes. You mentally rehearse the future fallout. This is not dishonesty. This is threat detection. Metaphor, the borrowed house. Imagine living in a house you don't believe is yours. When guests compliment it, you don't enjoy it. You worry they'll discover the truth. You worry the owner will return. So you stay alert. Acceptance feels temporary. A longing feels conditional. That's exactly what happens when your current life outpaces your self-image. Your external reality updates faster than your internal identity. And that gap creates anxiety. 5. Why does just be yourself not work? This is why advice like, just be authentic, fails. Your brain doesn't change identity through intention. It changes identity through repeated evidence. Telling yourself you're safe doesn't convince the nervous system. Experiencing safety does. And that process is slow. Which brings us to the real question. How do you let your brain update without forcing confidence or faking ease? 6. Practical framework. Psychology-based, step-by-step. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about becoming internally consistent. Here's how that happens. Step 1. Rename the feeling accurately. What to do? Stop calling the feeling being fake. Call it what it actually is. Fear of loss. Why it works, psychology. Mislabeling emotions increases amygdala activation. Accurate labeling reduces it. When you frame the feeling as fear instead of dishonesty, you reduce internal conflict. Your brain stops attacking itself. Real life example. You notice yourself performing socially. Instead of thinking, I'm fake, you think, something in me is afraid to lose this.
The pressure softens. But insight alone isn't enough. The brain needs experience. Step 2. Create low-risk identity leaks. What to do? Allow small, unscripted parts of you to show, without correcting them afterward. Why it works, psychology. The brain updates beliefs through prediction testing. You expect rejection. When rejection doesn't happen, neural models shift. This is how identity rewrites itself. Real-life example. You say something slightly awkward. You don't apologize. The interaction continues. Your brain quietly logs, that didn't cost me connection. That's how safety gets learned. Step 3. Stop over-earning belonging. What to do? Notice when you try to add value after being accepted and pause. Why it works, psychology. Many people learn that connection had to be earned continuously. This creates performance-based attachment, which keeps the nervous system in alert mode. Pausing interrupts that loop. Real-life example. Someone enjoys your presence. Instead of proving yourself further, you let the moment stand. Your brain experiences belonging without effort. That's a major update. Step 4. Separate attention from safety. What to do? Ask yourself, do I feel seen or evaluated? Why it works, psychology. Attention activates arousal systems. Safety activates regulation systems. Confusing the two creates anxiety. Real-life example. You receive praise. Your body tenses. Instead of escalating performance, you ground yourself and stay present. Your brain learns, attention doesn't equal threat. Step 5. Let the old identity grieve. What to do? Acknowledge the version of you that stayed hidden for survival. Why it works, psychology. Identity change activates the same neural circuits as grief. If you skip mourning, the brain resists updating. Honoring the old role reduces internal sabotage. Real-life example. You recognize that being agreeable, quiet, or distant once kept you safe. You don't shame it, you think it, and slowly it loosens. 7. The core integration, the one model to remember. Here's the model that holds everything together. You don't feel fake because people like you. You feel fake because your self-image hasn't caught up yet. Your brain is transitioning from survival-based belonging to presence-based connection. That transition feels unstable, but instability is not dishonesty, it's movement. Each moment you're accepted without performing teaches your nervous system a new truth. You don't have to disappear to belong. 9. The moment it starts to feel different. One day you'll notice something subtle. You'll be in a conversation. People will be engaged, interested, comfortable, and you won't be watching yourself. No monitoring, no internal commentary, just present. It won't feel exciting. It will feel normal because your brain no longer sees connection as a performance. It sees it as a place you're allowed to exist. 9. Quiet, empowering close. You were never fake. You were careful. You learned how to stay safe before you learned how to stay present. And now your nervous system is catching up. Slowly, gently, on its own timeline. Belonging isn't something you maintain. It's something your body learns it can survive. And you're already learning.